And welcome back to Major Impact. If you are just joining us, we are celebrating Women's History Month by putting ourselves first. That means empowering one another and putting trust in ourselves. Our first guest today has helped over 400 low-risk women release their fear around giving birth. And she is here to share her own unmedicated birth journey with us and how that led to a super successful business. So she is here to share her unmedicated birth journey and how that led to a successful business. So please help us welcome entrepreneur, author, birthing coach, and doula, Jade Aminah. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us, Jade.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you.
We're so excited to have you, Jade. So please tell us more about what you do as a birthing coach and doula. Some people may not be familiar with those terms.
Thank you, ladies, for having me here today. Basically, a birth coach is the same thing as a doula, and a doula is just a non-medical person that is there to support you in your pregnancy, in your labor, and your postpartum. We provide emotional support, physical support, any kind of support you may need to get you through that very, very special time in your life.
Yes.
Very, very special. So how about Miss Ellie is working on baby number 5. So this is right on time. Ellie, were we allowed to say that? We are happy for you.
Yes.
Okay. But first,
No, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so this is super timely. So first, Jade, how did you make the decision to have a natural birth during your first pregnancy?
You know what? When I first got pregnant, I remember I was about 8-9 weeks pregnant, and I went to my OB office to confirm the pregnancy. And I had kind of thrown around the idea in my head about giving birth without an epidural, about a natural birth, but I knew zero about that. Like absolutely nothing. I didn't know what it entailed. I just thought that it might be a cool idea. So I remember saying it to the provider. I said, I think I want to give birth without an epidural. And she looked at me and she goes, that's what they all say till it comes down to it. And I was just really shocked by her response. Again, first time mom, I knew nothing, but I did know that it didn't feel good. I knew that my gut was telling me there was something off about what she said. And I ended up changing providers. I found an office that I really enjoyed. And from the first appointment, everything that they said just kind of aligned with what I had been feeling. And I was like, okay, this feels right. So let's just go with that. And, just that one decision of just changing the provider is what led down this crazy journey of where I am today. So it really shows the power in our decisions.
Yes.
That's a really interesting perspective. And I had both of my sons without an epidural. The first one, it was a conscious decision because I was hungry and I knew that epidurals slow down labor and I was trying to eat. The second one, he just came super fast. So I want to ask you as the expert, what are some myths about having an unmedicated birth that you might have heard?
As I expanded to social media, I am privy to a lot of different conversations on this topic. So I see a lot of different things in my comment sections and DMs, and some of it surprises me on the myths. So some of the myths that I've heard is that, when you choose to do an unmedicated birth, that you are in excruciating pain for hours. Some other myths that I might have heard is that you have to have a high pain tolerance, which is also a myth because a lot of birth starts in the mind. So you don't necessarily have to have this strong of taking pain. Another one is that you can't have an unmedicated birth in a hospital. That's also not true. It's a little tougher because there are a lot of things that you have to kind of work against in terms of the system, but you can absolutely have an unmedicated birth in a hospital. Oh, and this is a really funny one, that having an unmedicated birth makes you a better mom or a crunchy mom. And both of those, however you birth your baby, you are an amazing mom. And, the whole crunchy idea, where you only focus on natural ingredients and, that whole list, that doesn't really have anything to do with an unmedicated birth. They're separate. So those are just some of the crazy things that I've heard from women.
That is actually so funny because I've definitely heard those. I'm sure all of us moms have come across it at some point in thinking about our own birth preparation or in just talking to our friends. So, what's interesting is that I think when most people hear about, preparing, right, they think of cribs, strollers, childproofing the house for their arrival, but that's not what you mean when you say labor preparation. So what is labor preparation and why is it so important? Because I noticed you even have an ebook called, Labor Preparation Guide out right now. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so that when you first get pregnant, that is one of the first things you think about. It's an exciting time. Gadgets are great. I love gadgets. So when I talk about labor preparation, I'm really just talking about using that 9 months during your pregnancy to really get centered in your own thoughts, in your own perspective, because in pregnancy and in motherhood, people have so many opinions. They're throwing so much at you, and it's kind of hard to quiet that noise and really understand what it is that you want, what it is that you're feeling, what it is that your intuition is telling you. And pregnancy is the perfect time to learn what it is that your voice is telling you, because when we're in labor, it's really our intuition that's leading us when we allow it to. When we're in the hospital, the hospital staff and the hospital protocol and the hospital environment impacts how we are experiencing our labor.
So I absolutely love this conversation, especially because as we're all sharing, our journey has been completely different. So I'm the mother of 3 boys, and I had to be induced with all 3 because they were just in there chilling. They did not want to come out. And so I love this conversation. So talking about your guide, is your guide something that's for all expecting mothers, or is it just for those women that are considering, going like the unmedicated route?
So I admit, when I first went into this on a larger scale on social media, I was talking directly to women that wanted an unmedicated birth. And I admit that is still my primary focus. But when it comes to birth, any woman can prepare, whether you plan to get an epidural or not. A lot of times, though, if we are not planning, right, and we just say, "Oh, I'm just going to get the epidural," what if that epidural doesn't work? What if the epidural wears off? What if it's taking the anesthesiologist a long time to get to you to insert that epidural? So you want it, regardless of how you want to birth, you want to have tools and strategies and preparation so that if something goes in a way that you weren't expecting, you have something that you can pull from to get you through. And you never know, you might end up just going along with an unmedicated birth. If you were able to keep yourself calm during that time, you might not even need the epidural. But a lot of times we count ourselves out before we even try.
Yes, I love that though. I've actually read some of your client testimonies, and women are literally saying their labor was the best experience after working with you. So can you share with the audience, because I know it's a very rewarding experience, but how can child labor be enjoyable?
Again, starts with the mindset. It starts with how you are looking at childbirth. In the media, in movies, even women that are close to us, the way that they talk about their births, we just kind of automatically think that it's a terrible experience, a painful experience, and you just got to find a way to get through it. But one of the reasons why I love talking about preparing for our labors and really being intentional about that is because it honestly, over this journey, it has really made me sad. The stories that I've heard from women from their births, these traumatic experiences that really shape motherhood for them. It really shapes how they view themselves. So if you had a birth experience where you felt like you weren't heard, where you felt like you were being fear-mongered into something that you didn't really want to do, as we walk into motherhood, it makes us maybe question how the decisions that we make for our children. And it's amazing that it all kind of can lead back, doesn't have to, but it can lead back to the way that we birthed our children. And the reason why those testimonies are so strong from these women is because a lot of my clients are first-time moms, which is great because they are kind of walking into motherhood with an experience that they were empowered by, and they are amazed at what their bodies were able to do, at what things that they didn't even think they'd be able to do, they were able to do. And those testimonies really are a testament when you follow, that gut feeling, and you put effort into that preparation, what it can lead to, and how it helps you to walk into motherhood with a certain level of confidence that you might not have had if you had a birth that you weren't proud of.
That's so powerful, and it seems like you talk a lot about mindset and just the mental space women need to be in. So how can a mindset shift actually impact your childbirth and even your baby?
Well, for example, if we go to the pediatrician, right, and we have our new baby, maybe the pediatrician has a certain vaccination schedule that they follow if vaccinations are your thing. And some pediatricians will offer a vaccination multiple times in one visit. And for some moms, they might just follow along with that because the pediatrician is the expert. They don't want to question it. But maybe there's something about it that makes them uneasy. It's like, wow, my baby's getting four shots today. But they don't know how to say or even ask the question, is there a different way that we can approach this? But when you have that mindset shift and understanding that you are the expert in your body, you are the expert in your baby, and everybody else is there to support you with their expertise, but really it is you that sets that tone. And that mindset shift helps you to have the confidence to say, you know what, let's hold off on 2 of those. Let's try, another time. And that mindset shift really is what carries you through motherhood, and it helps you to be empowered in your role as a mother.
Absolutely love it. This is a conversation that we need, that is so needed. And let me tell you, my very first son, my oldest son, I was only 17 years old, so I was a teen mom. And I really love that you shared that you went to your provider, you were unhappy, and you had the guts, the courage, just the mindset to go somewhere else. Because me being so young, I think I just kind of took whatever was there because you don't know any better. So just thank you so much for what you're doing. This has been such an informative segment. So how can our viewers join your community of unmedicated mamas?
You can find me on social media, my TikTok and my Instagram at Jade Aminah, JadeAminah. Definitely check out my labor preparation guide. This was a very short segment. My social media videos are very short, but the guide really breaks it down in an easy, digestible way so that you can use that time during your pregnancy to learn and to lean into this new role that you're stepping into, and to be empowered by your birth journey and your birth experience.
So thank you so much for being here and sharing all that amazing information. And so do not move, because when we come back, we are going to share some events going on in the DMV. Stay tuned.
I'm AJ Aquia Johnson, and I help people rock their better. I help people connect with their happy. And you're watching Connect Network TV.
Hi, I'm Dondre Whitfield, and go check out my book, Male vs. Man. And you are watching the Connect Network TV.